Like, it's so sad. Like, imagine them.
It is.
Like, you know, sitting in a corner waiting for someone to get them. But
I know.
because they're not attractive or they don't have like a good personality, like no one wants them. And that just breaks my heart, you know. That makes me so
I think
sad.
it's, and I saw this video of this lady waking up, and she's just going out to the balcony to see her dog in her neighbor's pool. And I'm like, well, that reminds me. I can see that neighbor complaining. Look at people doing like OnlyFans and stuff.
I know.
They seem to be fully satisfied with the way they live,
exactly.
with the work they do, and that's what I'm saying. I feel like Gen Z in Adelaide Airport, there's like a therapy dog as well.
Oh, really?
I guess I feel like because some people are quite anxious to fly.
About flying. Oh, that's so lovely.
Yeah.
I love
I
that.
know.
I've never seen that at an airport. Respecting the traditional custodians, we acknowledge the Turrbal and Kaurna peoples as the original inhabitants of the lands now known as Brisbane and Adelaide. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging, and recognize their enduring connection to the land, waters and culture. Hi everyone and welcome to episode 23 of Brown Girls Down Under. I'm Shonali and I'm joining you from Brisbane, and I've got my fellow blue sister. We didn't even plan this, but we're both wearing blue. Hi there. Yes. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. It's getting so cold now. So.
Oh, really? What's the weather today?
I think it was like around. I think it was like under 10 today.
The whole day?
Not the whole day, but it was very gloomy and it was raining a lot. So it was like 10-ish. Yeah. I don't mind the cold as long as it's not like raining.
Yeah, true.
Or like it's not wet.
It ruins the mood, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's been so gloomy and next the whole week of like from Monday to Friday seems to be a little bit more sunny, and then the weekends again like raining and gloomy. I was like, when I'm home, it's gonna be raining.
Oh, that's
gloomy.
Disappointing.
Yeah, but on site it was also cold on site, but during the day it's quite nice because it's quite sunny during the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, not bad. I don't think I had a busy week, but it just went really fast, and it's just because I'm just almost finishing up my rotation in my current team. It's a bit too late for me it doesn't make sense for me to take up more work. It's just more about finishing a lot of the projects what I've got before. So it's a bit boring at the moment, but I'm trying to help out other people if they've got a lot going on. I'm just trying to take on some work from them and then just, things that I can quickly finish off.
Yeah.
Which I've done, but I'm excited for the next rotation because I'm going to be a lot more Adelaide based. I'm only going to be traveling to site like every fortnight just for like 2 days.
That's good. When does that
hence
start?
Hence why, in August, so early August. Yeah, so I've got, I'm excited for that. Hence why I'm like trying to convince MJ to get a cat. Yeah, we've been looking at cats.
Is it working or?
Well, I think he's convinced now. And then he was almost ready to get this one cat. And then I was like a bit more concerned. I was like, oh, maybe is it the right decision? Because I'm like, I don't know. I was like, what if it gets sick? Because I've been looking at cats and all I get on my social media now are cats. So it's like constant like cats. And then sick cats, and then I went down and was like, this cats who have cancer and all that.
Oh no, we don't want to see that.
I'm not gonna be able to handle that. And I was like, oh, what do we do? But then now I'm like, do we actually? Maybe we need to reevaluate that. And then MJ is like, no, I'm too lonely at home. I need someone. I was like, okay. But now he's like, okay, when you start, like your next rotation, we'll get a cat. But then I've been looking at RSPCA website and there's like adorable cats. And then there was like a ginger cat with like a lot more like ginger on the sides and then white fur on the belly and the bottom. It's like so cute, like a kitten. And then I look at it like 30 minutes later, it's gone.
Really?
Like, what the hell? And then there's still a ginger cat that it's like adorable. It's like the big blue eyes, but the ginger, it's so cute. I'm like, we need to get her. Like, I think his name was Tubby. I was like, we need to get Tubby. We need to go. But
I mean, it's a good thing, I suppose, that they're going. But then I'm kind of concerned if it's like only the good-looking ones that are going, you know? 'Cause
yeah, it's generally that. But I've been told, like one of our friends told us that usually people don't buy black cats because, you know, the superstitions and all of that.
Yeah.
And I feel bad. There's a lot of black cats there that's available.
That's so sad.
I know, but I told him, it's like, if there's like a black cat with like, you know, the white paws, it's like so cute.
Like little
it's like
socks.
wearing socks.
I know. It's so cute.
Yeah, I was like, but I just don't care. Like, obviously on the website, the photos, the pretty cats are very pretty. But it all depends on like the personality as well. If they're like a little bit playful and not super energetic, because I mean that's also fine, but if they're super energetic, I guess maybe we'll need to spend a little bit more time with them when they're young. But that's fine. But I would like but the cats aren't like cuddly a lot of the time, but I don't mind if, like, you know, they're independent and they're doing their own thing.
Generally, cats are like that, right? Like they're compared to dogs. I mean, obviously, you and I are big dog people, and like we love needy dogs. But I think compared to that, cats are usually pretty independent and they do their own thing.
Which is good, considering that we're both working.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, if it's okay to be by itself, and they're less destructive as well. Maybe at least the furniture, they might destroy the furniture, but in terms of the actual house and stuff, they're a little bit more forgiving than dogs, I feel like.
That's true.
But yeah, I'm just the things that are concerning me is that because I'm very quite particular and strict about a house smelling nice. Because I love lighting a lot of candles and things like that. But I'm concerned about the smell, especially because if we were to have a cat and we were to keep its litter somewhere, it's going to be in the guest sort of bathroom. And that's right next to the main like entrance, the door.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, it's just us anyway. So if we are disciplined enough to clean it multiple times, which is like going to be MJ's job anyway.
Yeah. Sounds like he's the one who really wants it, you know, so.
Yeah, exactly, you know, but I'm really excited. I really want one. The
I'm
more I
excited
look at
for
like
you.
cats, I'm like, yeah, I'm just so scared that I'm going to go there and going to come back with like 5 cats.
You probably will, you know, I think you might.
It's heartbreaking.
It is, I know.
Because there's this really, I don't know if you know, but in F1 there's like a driver called Alex Albon. And he's like a British driver, British Thai. He's like the only Thai driver on the grid. Okay. And he has he has so many pets. He has like 10 cats, 2 dogs and a horse or something like that.
Wow.
So everyone keeps asking about like, how do you keep like multiplying and he has a separate Instagram page called Albon Pets.
Oh, that's so cute.
He doesn't even, it's just
that.
so, and one of the, it's just so adorable. And one time his helmet was like, had an animated drawing of all his pets. It was the cutest thing. But
that's such a green flag.
I know, right? He's the biggest green flag, honestly. But he keeps saying like he has like sisters and brothers as well. Every time like any of the pet adoption centers near their house have like cats or dogs that, you know, no one's adopting them. everyone's like, oh, we'll give them to Alex. Because Alex would take them. And that's how he ended up with like 12 cats.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah.
That's the nicest
Yeah,
story
it's just
ever.
so cute. So I'm just like, I feel that the more I look into like keep looking at this like the RSPCA website, I was like, oh, I'll take him. I feel like
Yeah.
there's like few cats. Every time I look at it, they're always there, and I'm like, oh.
I know. See, that's the thing. Like, I feel like if, like, I've got a cat story too, which I will get to soon. But, like, if we were to adopt a cat, I would want a cat or like an animal that no one else wants. Because I feel like it's so sad. Like, imagine them,
It is.
like, you know, sitting in a corner waiting for someone to get them. But
I know.
because they're not attractive or they don't have like a good personality, like no one wants them. And that
Yeah.
just breaks my heart, you know. That
I
makes me so
I think
sad.
it's more to also like, I mean, obviously might be like looks might be like a huge factor,
Yeah.
but I think it's also to do with like personalities, because I've read some of their descriptions. They say that they're quite nervous to meet strangers, so they might not be like going up to strangers and like playing with them. They might be like shy, and which I get, because some cats, I think a lot of them say that they take a lot of time to warm up to like strange places, which is like fair, you know. It might be like
That's like
crazy.
humans though, you know. So,
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just introverted
Yeah.
cats.
So we've
And then
actually.
there's anxious cats.
Oh, I know, that's another breed. That's so sad. Oh,
I know. Hopefully we'll just the plan is to retire early and buy like a farm and have all the animals in
I
the world.
love that. I fully approve that plan. You know, I think
Yeah,
I'll
someone-
join you as well.
Yeah, maybe I'll go to Shark Tank and be like, this is my dream. Please sponsor me. I will send you cat videos and cat photos and fill your days with joy.
Unlimited love for the rest of your
Yeah.
life, you know.
Rest assured, I will love these animals.
I think it might work. If I were
Yeah.
a shark, I would
Yeah.
fund that. I would fund
let's
that
pitch
plan.
it together. Let's go to
Definitely.
Shark Tank.
We'd be like, please fund us.
We can assure you daily content of these furry animals. Like, yeah.
Oh my God, it's so
Yeah,
funny. Like, we speak of
hopefully.
cats because like a few months ago, Ryan found a cat in like one of the bushes, like in front of our house.
Wow, okay.
And this was like in the middle of summer. So he just assumed that the cat was like homeless because he had a lot of like stuff in his fur, and it was really hot. And like to Ryan, like it's animals and humans, you know, like he's
Yeah,
such a
of
massive
course.
animal lover.
Of
So he was so upset. Like he was like, you know, how can someone let an animal out in summer and just leave it? Because summer
that
gets
is-
so hot here. So he
Yeah,
was
that's
fully
right.
convinced this cat was homeless. He was like trying to, you know, feed it and give it water, but he was like, the cat's really nervous, and like, I don't know, he was so invested in this. He was like talking about this cat nonstop to me, and I'm honestly not a cat person. Like, I love all animals, but I prefer dogs, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, he's been trying to get this cat to like just warm up to him, and it worked. You know, he was so persistent with it. He tried and tried and tried, and it worked.
He's on a mission.
Yes, and then we found out, because then he started buying cat food and like feeding this cat.
Oh,
And then
wow.
yeah, like he was fully, like he was asking all his friends who have cats, like, what food do cats like? What brands work?
Right.
What ingredients do they like? So he fully went on like a bender buying cat food and everything, and was given this animal to eat. And then this cat started following him home. And it came home, and then all of a sudden we found out that it's actually our neighbor's cat. And then
And you've never seen this cat
no,
before?
we've never seen this. And then
Wow.
the cat went into the neighbor's house, and we're like, oh shoot, so it's actually someone's cat. And then the cat just started coming from like the back of the house, like we share like an area. It started coming this way. And then it just started like walking into our house and just like chilling with us on the couch. Like it sleeps upstairs, like close to our bed, like fully just adopted this house as his own.
Yeah.
And then like a couple of weeks ago, like the owner came and knocked on the door and was like, is that my cat? I was like,
the cat's just chilling on the
Yeah,
sofa
because
watching
I was
TV.
literally just watching TV and the cat was just chilling with me on the couch. And then she was like, is that my cat? And I was like, yes, it is. And she's like,
I guess.
oh, yeah.
Depends. When's her birthday?
I was like, depends on who the cat chooses as the owner, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And then she's
we're
like-
not forcing her.
Yeah, honestly, we were not. And then she was like, can you just please not take my cat into your house? I was like, listen, lady, your cat walks into the house.
Was she mean?
She's not mean. She's really nice, right? Like, she's honestly
Yeah.
like a really nice neighbor. But that, I think she was just really frustrated that day. So she was like, can you just
Yeah.
not take my cat in? And I was like, okay, listen, I can try, but we leave our doors open sometimes and the cat walks in. That's not my fault.
Yeah.
And then she was just like, okay, can you just go bring the cat out? And I was like, no, because I'm really scared to lift cats. Like, I'm so scared that
because they feel so fragile.
yeah, and like I'm
sometimes,
scared that
though.
it might scratch. So I'm just like, no, actually, you can come in and take it because I don't want to lift it. And then she yelled at the cat, like, which was so sad. Like, the poor cat. Yeah, she yelled at it. And the cat was so scared. Anyway, she took it away. And then, yeah, she was like, just please don't, like, try not to get it in. I was like, okay, fine. Like, we'll see.
I can't make any promises.
Yeah, no promises. I mean, if the cat wants to come, the cat can come.
Yeah.
And then I told Ryan, and Ryan was so angry because, like, I know that this cat is like the highlight of his day. And the fact that she was saying, like, you know, don't bring it in.
Yeah.
So anyway, I've been trying to tell him, I'm like, no, you need to stop feeding it. Like, you need to stop encouraging it to come in. Like, we can't. But it's so sad. Like, every morning when I come downstairs and, like, I open the blinds, the cat is sitting there, like, and I'm just like, oh, how can I
that's
say no to that? I know. And he's so cute. Like, he's just like, meow, meow, and just staring at me. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, I can't take you in. I get yelled at. I'm sorry. I literally, like, I open the glass door and then it's like the fly screen. So I'm like patting it through the fly screen. And I'm like, I'm sorry. But yeah, so then yesterday, Ryan actually went and spoke to the owner and was like, listen, because it's so funny, right? Like, she's like, don't take the cat in. But then it's like, then keep the cat in your house. Like, keep the doors closed. Like,
Yeah.
you can't stop the animal from walking into other people's houses if your doors are open, you know? So
Yeah.
anyway, so she was like, oh yeah, you can stop the cat from coming in. And I was like, Ryan, just don't go to fight because we don't want problems with our neighbors, you know? That's the
Yeah,
last thing
yeah.
we want. But I think...
Over a cat.
I
That's
know.
not yours.
I know. But the thing is, I feel her pain because she has
Yeah.
said that a lot of the neighbors have complained about the cat. And so she's, except for us, like, we are not complaining. We're literally telling her that we are okay with it. We are totally okay with your cat visiting. But I think she's a bit scarred because I think a few people around have complained about it. And then she's told Ryan, if the cat's bothering you, just hose it down. And Ryan just, I know, he just lost his
Hose it
mind.
down, like as in
the
with water?
hose. Yeah. And Ryan got so angry. He's like, who says that about their own pet? You know, he's like, if someone tried to hose my cat down, I'm going to hose them down.
Really?
Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
he had told her, like, listen, I'm not going to encourage him to come in, but if he comes in while I leave my door open, that's not my fault. So now he just, like, conveniently leaves it open. I'm like,
Is it
oh.
not?
Like, Ryan, what
But
are you
it's
doing?
kind of, I mean, if your cat hasn't a habit of, like, you know, sneaking out, it's kind of at least comforting to know that it's at a neighbor's place rather than somewhere else.
So that's exactly what Ryan is saying, because this cat used to just be on the road. He used to run across the road. And like,
Wow.
if it gets knocked down, you know, that's worse. So he's like,
Yeah.
your cat is safe in our house. All it does is sleep or sits on the couch and watches TV with us. That's all he does. He's very safe. But I think she's like, I don't know, probably a bit nervous. I'm not sure. Because the rules around pets here are quite strict. Because he actually Googled
really?
it. Yeah. And it says, like, the owner is responsible for their animals to make sure that they're left in an indoor space and all that. They're very strict with it. So I think she's probably, like, nervous about that kind of stuff, which, like, I agree. But, like, we just made it very clear, like, we have no problem with your animal being in our house
Yeah.
at all. The only thing, like, because I'm a bit of a clean freak and I just don't like cat fur everywhere.
Fur,
So
yeah.
so that's like my only thing. And also it's when it sits on the couch, its nails kind of damage the couch. So I don't like that. So that's why we've got like throws on the couch so that it sits on the
Yeah.
throws. But yeah, we're just having like cat and neighbor drama at the moment. So
Yeah. But that reminds me, I saw this video on TikTok. This lady seen all these flyers around saying that with a photo of the cat that she's been feeding for the
Feeding.
past 5 months, saying that this cat goes to like 15
I
other
know,
houses.
I saw this. I
And
saw
I'm
this.
like, and then she's like, I'm sure I'm just a side house for her. It's like,
I
what?
saw this.
These
My
animals are so intelligent.
smart. My friend sent this to me and she was like, this is what your neighbor should put up. Because
Yeah.
Because it
Stop
just comes-
feeding this
Yeah,
cat.
it comes and it looks so sad. It's like, I'm so hungry. Please feed me. Please. So we've stopped feeding it now because, like, obviously
Oh,
we just
wow.
don't want problems. But we can't stop petting it. You know, he's so cute. And we
Yeah.
actually thought it was a girl for like the longest time. So we renamed her and we just kept calling her she. And it turns out it's a boy. And we're like,
Oh, wow.
okay. So it's like a
The
whole
cat's getting a different identity.
yeah, exactly. But we just keep calling it a girl now because we just can't change anything around it. But yeah, it's
Aw,
just
that's
it's so funny. But yeah, I think
cute.
it's time that we get a cat as well. Because like this whole drama, I'm just like, I can't, right? Like
Maybe
need
if
a
you
cat.
do get a cat, the neighboring cat would stop coming, maybe.
So apparently
Or
our
they would be friends.
Exactly. So the previous people who lived here had a 3-legged cat. And that cat was really good friends with this cat. So I think they used to just visit and play. So I think he's like
Maybe
used to it.
that's-
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's why he's
Maybe
coming,
he can
like,
like
hoping to
smell
see.
it or something. I don't know, like what's going on.
Yeah,
But yeah, anyway,
maybe.
I think something needs to be done here.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And I saw this video of this lady waking up, and she's just going out to the balcony to see her dog in her neighbor's pool. And I'm like, well, that reminds me. I can see that neighbor complaining. And he's just like casually like swimming, and he's just having the time of his life in the pool
But
in
if
the
I
at
was the
7 a.m. in the
neighbor,
morning.
I wouldn't be pissed about that.
Yeah, me neither.
No, I would be so happy that your dog chose my pool, you know? Like,
Yeah, I know, right?
I would
it just brings
consider that
joy.
flattered. Exactly. Like, but then
Yeah.
again, that's the thing. Like, this is what our neighbor was saying as well. Not a lot of people like
Yeah.
cats, and not a lot of people like some people don't like animals. So it's kind of that's why she's a bit nervous about it, which I get.
Yeah.
You know,
But
but.
especially if you guys are okay with it, then
Yeah,
why
I'm like,
bother?
we
Like,
have
you know.
no problem. I've told you, like, this cat is the highlight of my husband's day. Trust me. Like,
Maybe she just wants to discipline the cat and be like, do not go out. or
maybe.
something
But
like
then,
that.
then you
I
should
don't know.
like keep your doors locked. You know, you can't. I don't know where the cat is getting away from, but
I think he has like a sneak out spot that the owner doesn't know about. Maybe.
Yeah, they're smart creatures. So yeah.
Wow, that's like that's so cute though.
I just love that we've spoken about
Interesting.
cats for like 25
Cats for-
minutes already.
Has it been 25
Well, it's
minutes?
been 22 minutes. So
Oh wow, that's pretty good. All right, that was a lovely introduction about cats.
I'm sorry, guys, if you don't like cats. That really sucks.
Yeah, yeah. But how was your week?
Yeah, my week's been really busy actually, even though I've been on school holidays. Like I think I mentioned that I
Yeah.
do like a holiday program in the holidays. So it's been really busy. Like I think I've worked like non-stop for about 3 weeks straight now. So I'm like really tired, you know. I'm just like, oh.
Is it mostly like paperwork, or do you still have kids?
No, it's like a vacation care. So it's basically the kids who kind of the same kids that I work with. Obviously, their parents still have to go to work. So it's kind of like a care place for them. They just come and like play and watch movies.
Hang out.
And yeah, it's pretty pretty chill.
Oh, because you don't have to teach him anything.
No, I don't
Yeah,
have
like
to cheat.
you-
I literally just chill with them. Yesterday we
It's
watched
like a daycare.
kind of, yeah. We watched El Canto, the movie. Yeah.
What is that? Is that the Mexican?
That one. Yeah, the animation movie. So we watched that and we just like walk around. Like it's pretty chill. Like it's honestly such a chill job and the money's really good. So it's been good, but I'm just like, oh, I just need a day off to just like sleep in and just relax, you know. So yeah, apart from that, it's been pretty good. I started watching Queen Charlotte, which I know you're very very proud of, you know. You and half of my friend list on Instagram, when I posted the story, everyone's like, finally.
Yes, about time. Yes.
But I'm only in episode 3, so I've
That's
still
okay.
I've still got a long way to go. But
It's okay. I think you would enjoy it. Like the first few ones are definitely a bit slow.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just a bit get on with it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
You
yeah.
feel like that.
yeah.
But the middle and the later episodes are quite
That's what I'm like. I'm still it's kind of slow, so that's why my brain is kind of craving something a little bit
good. Yeah.
faster. So
I think it's also like because Queen Charlotte was the third story to come out.
Yeah.
So a lot of the young characters in the story, people have already seen their older characters in other
okay.
seasons. So every time you see like a new character come, a young version of a character, you're like, oh, this is her. And then you kind of see the traits of the older character in so that's sort of enough for people to still hang on to it. But if you don't know
okay.
that
Yeah, that
it
makes
can
sense.
obviously feel a lot slow.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the fact that the main character is just so easy on the eyes, you know, I'm just like, whoa.
So pretty.
I know, he's
I'm like,
very good looking.
I would love him.
Yeah.
Like he's so he has the most gentle, most caring, most sweet
And
eyes.
he just wants to be a farmer. Like, that's so cute.
Oh no, Farmer George.
That is, pretty adorable. So I like that. You know,
Yeah.
I'm holding on. So we'll see. We'll see how far I
Yeah.
get.
That's good. But anyway, I thought maybe the topic that we couldn't discuss the last time because we're quite famous for not sticking to the topic.
Yeah.
It's maybe I thought we can discuss it this week.
Do you want to give
So
a
the
little
topic-
reminder of the topic?
Yeah, so the topic we wanted to discuss was that we have all these different, so we have a few generations that we, you know, in the society, we have a few generations that are born in different years, and we have grouped them into certain years. We have grouped them and named them like a generation. For an example, people from 81 to 1996, we call them millennial. So likewise, you've got all these different types of generations, and they have different personality traits that are common to them and quite different from other generations. So I thought maybe it would be a good opportunity or good discussion to have, because at work you deal with, I mean, if that's workplace is definitely the best place that you meet all different types of generations, because at school and stuff we're not really exposed to different types of generations. Or even, I don't know, uni is probably also not a good place to be exposed to a lot of different generations.
Yeah.
Probably work would be the most common.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, so, and I think it's quite important, I guess, if you're also in a leadership role, if you are managing a team that has all these different or different generations, the way different generations behave in a workplace is also different. The way they receive feedback is also different. What encourages them can also be different. So, which is what I thought it would be nice to discuss.
Yeah.
So obviously both of us are millennials. There's I know there's like 5 generations that I know of. The first one's obviously, I don't even know if people in this generation are still alive, because that's like ancient. Because the traditionalists is like 1928 to 1945.
I do know.
that's-
My grand auntie and uncle are in that generation.
What?
Yeah.
How old are they?
He's my granduncle's turning 90 next year. So he's like, he was born in the
Okay.
30s.
Oh, that actually reminds me. Actually, my grandfather would also
Yeah.
be in that. Yeah, because he's about 88.
Yeah, so
it could. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Now that I thought like maybe that's like, I don't know. When I read about that generation, I was imagining like black and white films.
I mean, it
things
probably
like that.
was black and white.
Yeah,
film,
and I'm like, yeah. So I'm just, but now that I know like an actual person, maybe I'm like, oh, it's just popped, like colors popped in there.
But I always thought that generation was like boomers. Because, like, I feel like they've... What is boomer generation?
They're also known as the silent generation as
Oh,
well.
is it? Okay.
I think that's because in a workplace maybe it's called a silent generation.
Okay.
And then you will have the baby boomers,
yeah.
which are like 1946 to 1964.
Yeah.
And then you have,
Gen X.
I guess, Gen X or boomers, I guess. I don't know, but I looked at a few different papers and a few different sites. Everyone names them different.
Oh, okay.
They don't, obviously millennials and Gen Z is the same, but every other ones, they have different names for it. So it might be quite similar. So that's called the Gen X, and then you have the millennials and then the Gen Z.
Yeah. And Gen
but
Alpha, which is like the newest generation.
Yeah. Gen Z is apparently from 1997 to 2012.
Oh, wow.
Which isn't that, you know.
That's...
I don't know. I feel so old, man.
But 2012 is like, that's a huge like age range, right? Like
1997 to 2012. I mean, millennials like 1981.
Yeah, true. Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, I feel like I think we said this last time as well. Like, us being like kind of younger millennials, I feel like we don't have a lot in common with the older millennials.
Yeah.
But then
I think, with every generation, I think
there's a bit of an overlap, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I read this paper where they have some statistics on the workforce number in like a US.
Yeah.
So if you get a US company, this is the sort of rough percentage of people. So the silent generation or the traditionalists is usually like 2%.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which is a bit hard to think that they're still, maybe it's like, I don't know, in the advisory board.
Yeah, I was going to say like
something
consultants.
Like
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you've got 18.6% of baby boomers.
Okay.
And then you've got 34.8% of Gen X, which is, I guess, would be boomers. And then 38.6% of millennials. And 6.1% Gen Z. Okay. Which explains because they're just coming into the workforce.
And some of them are probably still in school.
Yeah. I mean, 2012 is crazy.
Yeah, exactly. They're still babies.
Yeah. But these numbers are going to change in future. You're going to have a lot more Gen Zs. You're going to have a lot less boomers. And then you're going to have maybe a lot of the leadership roles. I guess it changes now because that's what I'm saying. So in like the boomers at a workplace, they would always wait until they get certain amount of experience until they go to leadership roles because they feel like they need that knowledge to be able to guide a team. Whereas millennials and also even Gen Zs, they're like, I don't really need to know the technicality or the technical stuff to be a leader. I can just that's why I have the people to do it. I just need to guide them or manage them. Which is fair, and it has, with the technology as well, it's become a lot more efficient, a lot more productive that way. And that opens up a lot of leadership opportunities for a lot of people regardless of their experience. So in terms of like talking about the pros and cons of like, you know, their characteristics or their manners or what they prefer in a workplace, traditionalists obviously are very they're quite heavy on being loyal to a company, and they value the stability, and they expect the company to be loyal to their employment as well. So they're not the type of people to go to different, like, they're not the type of people to jobs to job. Once those are the kind of people that you feel like you hear about that work there. They work there for like 35 years, and then their sons or their children have also worked for the same company. Those are the kind of traits.
Yeah.
And they're also quite experienced. They bring a lot of experience into the company. That brings a lot of knowledge because they've stayed in the same role for a long amount of time, and they've become the subject matter expert in that role.
Yeah.
So because it's quite important for them to perfect before they move on to another.
And I also think they have a
kind
lot of because they've obviously seen the company go through so much that they have a lot of loyalty towards it as well, because they feel like it's a part of their life.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
Which reminds me, have you watched the movie Intern?
Yeah, I have. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that?
I was ready to say no because I don't remember anything I've watched, but I do remember that because it was so funny and I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember in that movie he speak about how the company that he's joined as an intern, that building used to be the place where he used to work.
Oh.
It was like a factory or something, and then that kind of reminded me of that. But obviously also with that, the cons of that sort of generation is that they're quite resistant to change.
Yeah.
They're not very adaptive or they're not flexible because a lot of the jobs that people did back in the days a little bit more routine tasks, or because there wasn't a lot of technology.
True.
So the stuff that we do now, like generating reports, stuff like that, they had to do it by themselves. Yeah. So it's a lot of even looking at numbers and stuff, it's a bit of a more routine task. So that's why people, I guess, maybe less adaptive to flexibility and stuff. But they also had I guess maybe at this day and age, we would call them a bit more toxic, but they have very heavy work ethics.
Yeah.
They're like, the job.
Yeah.
It's I feel like even I mean, my parents are not traditionalists, but even to them, I feel like their job would be come first. They had so much respect and so much, I don't know, I feel like it's almost like a religion because they're so professional at their job. They're like, this comes first.
And it's they're so thankful for basically the job keeping them alive kind of thing. Whereas I feel like we don't really have that as much.
Yeah. Because times have changed now, right? Because it's and it's I feel like, I don't know if I got it from my parents, but seeing how much respect and how much importance that they've given to their job, I feel like I have the same. But I'm also learning not to let it ruin my sort of, also prioritize my work-life balance. I'm learning 100%. That. But it's also if there's something that needs to get done and I have to sacrifice a little bit of my own time, I would do it. Yeah. Considering I'm also still a graduate, I feel like I owe that. Yeah. But there's also so many ways that you can be more productive at work and manage your time properly, and then focus on I feel like the most of the times for me to do that, the reason I feel I would even get my, I would even work at my own time to get something done if it needs to be done like that, is because I sometimes waste so much time at work looking at random stuff. So I'm feeling like guilty, or maybe I need to, because sometimes if it's not super busy, I'm super chill.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of timestamps for our videos and stuff. I do that because I have that flexibility at work as well, because I think workplaces are so evolved now. They don't want to overwork people. But obviously having said that, there are days that I work 12, 14 hours straight. Yeah. But that's not every day though. But it's pretty Like I know that there are people who are not willing to even do that. They're like, I do not want to overwork myself. But yeah, I'm not that kind of person. I'm just not, like, for me, getting that work done is a bit more like, because I feel the sense of achievement at the end of that task.
Yeah.
So for me,
You're
that
happy to do it.
that's a little bit more important than because it's gonna end up being less work the next day or something like that as well. It's gonna give you some sort of relief.
Yeah, I agree.
But then after that, you've got the baby boomers, which is like 1946 to like 64.
Yeah.
They are also quite similar.
Yeah.
They also have a lot more work, like dedication to work. And they also value teamwork
Okay.
a little bit more than the traditionalists. But the downfall of that is also that they don't prioritize like work-life balance. That's quite common, I think, up to like mid to like later millennials. Until that, work-life balance wasn't given like a big importance,
priority,
right?
Yeah.
But I saw in one of the research that's also because, I don't know if it's anything to do with the workload, but I feel like a lot of it shows a trend of that shows that the amount of workers, their generations, and also their anxiety and burnout and stress levels is a lot higher in the Gen Z and millennials.
Oh, okay, really?
As in, they get burnt out and stressed quite easily than with respect to the older generations, which I thought was quite interesting.
Do you think that's because I feel like there's more talk about burnout and anxiety?
As in, people are easily recognizing that?
Whereas maybe like in the previous generations, the word burnout didn't really even exist. You just kind of did what you had to do and just kept going on with life.
Yeah. And maybe back in the day, there wasn't a lot of highlight on mental health.
That's
and
the
therefore
thing.
didn't realize that they were actually
That's
burning
what I
out.
mean.
And either the suicide rates were so high, or the downside of that is the families, like, because and the downside of that probably isn't there weren't a work-life balance, and the families weren't, they didn't really have time for their families or things like that. Maybe that number would explain that.
That's the thing. That's what I feel like would be the case more than that. Because obviously, like, especially if they worked a lot, like long hours or whatever, obviously burnout would have existed. But I feel like the term burnout is kind of...
Maybe it wasn't recorded.
It's a kind of a newer word, don't you think? Like...
True.
Yeah.
But I think, it's really good that people are now recognizing that they're not feeling well.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of companies now have like mental health
100%.
leads, things like that.
Yeah.
When I first started working at like my big girl job, or like my first professional job, one of the girls that I was working with, she's quite, I don't want to say emotional, but I think it's just that she was quite vocal and she was a bit of an oversharer, I feel like. So whatever she has going on in her relationship, she's like a no filter kind of gal.
Okay.
So she's like, she would tell, my partner did this, my boyfriend did this, so I felt like this, and blah, blah.
Wow.
Like she would openly discuss it. So I feel like everybody else in the office was like, okay, this is not gonna last long. Everybody else, like, I feel like we all knew that. And then one day she came into the office and she was very upset, and she just told me that she's broken up. And then I was like, oh, and then I was like, it was like, if you watch Friends, remember when like Ross tells Phoebe and Joey that Rachel's pregnant? And they're like, oh, because they know that Rachel's pregnant.
Yeah.
It was like the exact reaction that they had was what the reaction I had. I was like, oh my God, I'm so
I never
surprised.
saw that
This
coming.
is like brand new information. Yeah, but I was like obviously trying to comfort her. I'm like, oh, I'm really sorry about how I hope you feel better. And then she's like, yeah, I'm just taking the day off. And then it made me think, I was like, wow, that's something that people do.
Yeah.
Because I've never heard of people like my parents saying, "Oh, my going through a divorce, so I'm just going to take the day off." Like, that's not something,
not
especially
something.
growing up in a culture like, Sri Lanka. So that's not something people
Yeah.
do. People would lose their parents and then come to
100%.
work
Yeah,
the next
exactly.
day, which is so not
It's
right.
so sad. Yeah.
But it's the opposite end of the spectrum,
Yeah.
obviously. But
I mean,
also
that being
felt
said,
like,
though,
oh,
like I feel like Australia has, I don't know what your company policy is with like sick leave and all that kind of. I feel like
Yeah.
Australia does have a long way to go still, because for us, like education department, and I know a lot of other places as well, you technically only get 10 days of sick leave per year.
Yeah, right.
Which is 10 days is nothing, especially like you've got
Nothing, yeah.
kids who always get sick, and then you obviously don't have the support system to leave them at home and go. You have to stay back. And usually that kind of burden falls on the mother, because, the mom's kind of expected to be home with the sick kid. So I have a lot of teacher friends who've got young kids and who have just burnt through their leave because they've got nothing to use.
But do you have carers leave?
They do have carers, but it's not a significant amount. And even like what is it? They have like a special kind of leave for if you have a miscarriage, and it's only like 3 days or something. And I feel like that's so insensitive. Like, I don't know again if this is just like, certain companies have different policies.
But is that because as teachers you generally get a lot of leave during school holidays? Is that a reason?
So the miscarriage leave is actually not, I'm not talking about the education department. I'm actually talking about my other, like my retail job. Because I'm not sure what the deal is with the education department and that. I'm really not sure. But like maybe like, but I think a lot of companies in Australia, sick leave is only 10 days. What about your company? Do you know what your arrangement is?
I think I don't know if there's a cap, but mine's like the number of hours I work.
Okay.
It just keeps
Adds on
adding
to that.
up.
Okay.
Yeah, certain percentage of every 12 hours that I do, a percentage of it is added to my sick leave or something like that. For it also depends on the rosters as well. Not sick leave, but annual leave. Like if you're working like a 5-2-4-3 roster, you'll get 5 weeks of annual leave.
Okay.
As in, yeah. And then, but if you're working like a 7-7 roster, because you're having every 7 days off, every other 7 days off, then you've got only like 3 weeks of annual leave or something like that. Depends on what roster you're working. Because if you actually think about it though, if you're on a 7-7 roster and you apply for leave for 1 week, you essentially get 3 weeks off.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so that's a lot of that's a lot of time off, right? So that's actually that's a really good roster if you want to travel, because you apply for 1 week but you've got 3 weeks off, That's like quite advantageous. But I think in my company particularly, when it comes to like maternal or paternal leave, there's people going on. I think they have a very good policy in regards to that. I know some people go for like 12 months, which is obviously it's a bit drastic, but people do have the option to do that, because sometimes you can go on half pay and extended. But there's also, I've recently heard that you can even buy leave. Like you can sacrifice a certain amount of your salary and have more leave or something like that, which is essentially just going on half-pay leave as well. But as in, you can deduct a certain amount every month just to accumulate more leave or something like that.
Yeah, so that's, I feel like, I mean, these are all good things that obviously come with the different generations, because I feel like in the boomer generations, maybe they wouldn't have even considered asking for these things. Whereas with like the younger, like the millennials and the Zoomers and stuff, to keep them in the workforce and keep the best talent, companies really need to do things like this to keep attracting them, And I mentioned the sick leave thing because we actually had a teacher from New Zealand who was here, and she was saying that New Zealand gets 30 days of sick leave. So that's huge compared to Australia.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing is, what I've heard is New Zealand generally doesn't have the greatest like salary conditions and all that.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
like
Yeah.
the sick leave is great, you know. So obviously that's why I think things
Mm.
like unions and stuff are really important, because they really
Yeah, that is
fight
true.
for like people's rights.
The rights.
Yeah, exactly.
That's interesting.
Mm.
I actually that makes me think. Maybe I should find out how much sick leave I've got,
Yeah.
and what's the and I'll update you next week.
Yeah, let me know.
Yeah. So yeah, going on with that, the next obviously generation is Gen X. They're a little bit more. They've seen the industrial revolution and all of that, so they're a bit more. They prefer to work independently. They're reliant on themselves. They like to do things by themselves. So you can, if you were to manage some people, you can like micromanaging is probably not the most effective way of like handling these type of
Yeah.
workers, and they also tend to be a bit more tech savvy because compared to the previous generations, a little bit more adaptive to new technology because they've seen a lot of the new technology come up. They're the first to experience all of this at workplaces. Maybe a lot of first of people with a lot of experience to be actually using the technology for their work and things like that. But even with their generation, you have the downside of like not prioritizing work-life balance and not, prioritizing mental health.
Yeah.
And then you obviously have the millennials, who's very, compared to like the previous generation, quite adaptive, quite flexible, loves collaboration, loves working in teams, likes fast-paced movements within the team or growing, and they're more purpose-driven. They're good at chasing goals. And they need to be handled with, like, you need to be giving them constant feedback on how they're doing because they need to evaluate on how they're doing and like keep growing.
Yeah, improving. Yeah.
But the other thing is also they're quite common to hop jobs, and like if the job is no longer like
Serving them,
they're ready to jump out. And this is quite obviously, as we spoke, I think this is more like mid to like later millennials.
Yes, I agree.
I feel like that's quite common.
Yeah.
And then they also have certain expectations now that this generation has started to prioritize their mental health, prioritize their work-life balance, and how they're actually feeling about what why they're working and wanting to spend a little bit more time with their family, especially after COVID. I think this was 100% big thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
They do have a lot of expectations on the job, and which I think is also quite interesting when we talk about Gen Zs. Also, like they're quite. I think they probably have the highest job expectations from a company. They want to make sure the company or the place they work for has the most has the newest technology and has the easiest way of doing things, and they don't want to be spending their time and their energy on things that can be automated or like, especially with AI, they don't want to be spending time thinking about how to properly write this email, how to sound polite. They don't really care about that. And they want to be innovative. They want the newest, obviously the most innovative way to do things. They're quite creative.
The most efficient way.
Also. Yeah. And they also value diversity.
Yeah.
Because I feel like in a way they also feel safer when there's a more diverse workforce, because there's a lot of people, different people to relate to, a lot of with diversity. Obviously there's a lot more, I guess, a diverse workforce can also be a lot more welcoming to anyone new, and it's also more productive when you have a diverse workforce, obviously.
And I guess that leads again to like, work-life balance and mental health and all that kind of thing, right? Improves all that.
Yeah, people need to be, and I feel like that generation doesn't believe that they need to be working a 9 to 5 to
Yeah,
earn
exactly.
the money,
Yeah.
right? And that's really true. And that's quite true with especially with like, you know, social media and
Yeah.
everything. Back in like my parents' day, they strongly believe that you have to be a doctor to earn this type of
Yeah.
money. But now you can be a content creator and earn the
Exactly.
same amount of money
Or even
with
more
with
sometimes.
maybe exactly. So and people don't really care, and look at people doing like OnlyFans and stuff.
I know.
They seem to be fully satisfied
Yeah.
with the way they
Yeah,
live,
exactly.
with the work they do, and that's what I'm saying. I feel like Gen Z, even millennials, but I feel like Gen Z a lot values financial freedom over everything.
Yeah.
And I understand that, and I fully support that, because once you're financially free, then you have the freedom to do
And the
whatever you
control.
enjoy
You're in control of your
without
life.
having to without having to actually do something that you don't really enjoy,
Yeah.
but just for the financial
Yeah.
stability.
Yeah.
You know, and they value them, and it doesn't matter whether you're an engineer or whether you're an administrator, as long as your work gives you peace
Yeah.
and gives you the financial, I don't know,
Freedom.
earning freedom that you need to
Yeah.
go do something that you actually enjoy. That doesn't matter. And I feel like a lot of the time, I feel like maybe this is still there in Sri Lanka, but a lot of the status or the respect that you get from a job is not really there anymore
No.
with Gen Z, which I think is a
It's
good thing, and I
amazing.
applaud them for
Yeah,
that.
100%.
But then the other thing is that they also lack a lot of attention. Like, they don't have the biggest attention
No.
span. So if you want to get their attention, if you want to convey like a message or like something, you just need to go straight to the point. Like, get rid of all the
Yeah,
fluff.
yeah.
Just put the key points in, because they're not gonna pay attention.
No.
They're not gonna understand, or they're not even gonna bother reading like,
Yeah.
I don't know, paragraphs and paragraphs of information.
Yeah.
But I think this is quite important too, because you are going to have a more broad generation, or I guess a larger group of Gen Z in your workplace in the future, and you're gonna need to know how to manage them.
Absolutely, yeah.
But, and also I think it's quite important for Gen Z, when they're trying to choose a workplace, it's quite important for them to actually read or to know the company's values, and it's important for the company's values to align with their values, and be like, because they're quite big on sustainability, they're quite big on like environment, taking care of the environment, and I do understand that maybe the boomers, the traditionalists didn't have to worry about that, because they were the ones destroying the planet, and and now Gen Z and the generations after that are the ones gonna live with those consequences. They're gonna live with the consequences, so they have to care, because they're gonna end up living in it, which I think is lovely, and that's something we could all learn from that generation. But I think it's also quite something that I've noticed a lot, is that I feel like in Australia, a lot of employers will have to work hard to retain their workforce, and also to attract the best talent. And they do work a lot, whereas in Sri Lanka it's more like employees or potential employees begging for a job. It's like you have to convince the employer to hire you, whereas here employers are fighting to hire you.
Absolutely.
It's the opposite ends of the spectrum. I feel like the HR here is working twice as hard, whereas HR over there is probably, not doing anything.
Just like playing hard to get,
Yeah, pretty much, because I've heard that a lot. It's like,
Yeah.
there's so many hoops people have to jump through in Sri Lanka to get a job. It's like, oh, you have to be from the right school, you have to be from the right uni, you have to have
not here.
apart from having the right qualifications.
And here I
Have to
feel
do
like
all of
a
that.
lot of companies like actually hire people to hire more people. So like with the education department, I recently saw them hiring like a few people. I can't remember the exact name, but I think it was like talent acquisition something. But their main job is to go convince people to become teachers
Yes.
and to hire them.
Yeah,
Which I find
yeah,
so
yeah.
funny because obviously like a few decades ago, like apparently teaching was really hard to get into. Like there were so many teachers and just not enough jobs. Like when I did my first prac, I remember my mentor teacher, like she was older and she was telling me like there were so many teachers and obviously they were mostly female and they just didn't have jobs. But now there's so many jobs and just no teachers. So
It might have been also because then maybe back in the day, people weren't like a lot of females weren't going into like jobs like engineering.
yeah,
or
could be.
like maybe so there was like, oh, they really enjoyed it because that you could really be like a intellectual and still do like that kind of job.
Exactly.
Because then you're like spreading. You're also, I guess, because people like females also have more nurturing sort of personality
Yeah.
than good teachers,
Yeah.
of course. But yeah.
Yeah, it's just really funny, you know, how
interesting.
things have changed in just like the last few years.
Yeah,
Which is crazy.
I
And like
know.
major campaigns are happening to hire, like even it's not just like education. Like I used to work in hospitality and that hospitality company used to have like kind of open days to like where people would come and they would just hire people in like bunches to work, which
Yeah.
is crazy because it's like they are fighting like to be the best hospitality company over everyone else to have like the best employees, you know. So it's not just education and things like that or like engineering or whatever. There's like
Yeah.
everyone is fighting for the best employees at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've heard like few people like I've never experienced like this on the few like career expos or whatever I've been to, but I've heard people being employed
On the spot, yeah. So that happens for teachers
Which-
a lot. So they have like,
Wow,
they have
okay.
like a teacher, like a fair every like few months. I've never been to one because I just got offered a job anyway, so I didn't have to go for it. But I know of plenty of people who've literally just gone and spoken to a stall and they've just been like, here's your conditional offer. Like, come start with us. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be
I
nice?
know. So like at the moment they have an upper hand, you know, so it's pretty
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
I mean, there's a big demand at the
Yeah.
moment because there's not enough
No,
teachers,
not
right?
enough, no.
Yeah.
And Australia is a big country with a lot of schools and not
Yeah,
enough
I know.
teachers. Yeah.
Yeah, crazy. But yeah, that's crazy how I wonder what the sort of, because I had a friend recently moved to Australia and she was from a HR background. And I was like, "Ooh, what sort of things do you do to it?" And then it was like, nothing, because we don't do anything. We get like too many applicants, so we just
wow.
you know
Isn't that
we don't do
crazy?
anything. Whereas here, like HR's doing like TikToks and things like that.
That's
It's
the
like
thing.
you
They
know,
have
apply
to do
this
so
company.
much to like fit in and be
Yeah.
cool and like get the right.
Because if you're wanting to hire Gen Z,
yeah, that's what you have
and
to do.
because they're the newest workforce, that's
That's what
that's
you
the
have
only
to
way
do.
you get their attention.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and they because they're the social media, and that's a big thing for them because that's how they consume a lot of the information.
Yeah, exactly.
And even their last week we did even their communication style is different. They prefer not to they prefer if it's a call, they prefer a video call. If it's not a call, then they prefer like a text message
yeah.
or things like that.
Yeah.
What do you prefer? Do you prefer calls or
I
text
prefer
messages?
text. I prefer text. It depends though. It's sometimes. It
Depends on who you speak to.
Yeah, exactly. Because the other day, it was so funny. Like something like really bad had happened to one of my friends. Like she was telling me, like over text, she was telling me this story about like a robber had like come into her house and tried to rob her and all this. Like it was a pretty crazy story. And I was telling my mom about it. And my mom's like, so did you call her? Like find out what happened? I was like, no, I was texting her.
Oh.
And my mom's like,
Wasn't that urgent?
and my mom's like, what? Like, why would you text her? I was like, well, the robber, it didn't happen like right now. It happened like last week.
Yeah.
So It's
Yeah.
gone now. I just want to text her.
Yeah. But I do understand why your mom's like that.
Because she doesn't get it. Like
yeah.
my mom, if I literally just send her like the most random text, she'll just call immediately. I'm like, why are you calling me? Like, you can text me. It's okay.
Yeah. But I've been trying to get my mom to text, but her texting scares me. It's like, call me. I'm like,
I know,
what's wrong? Is it
I
something
know.
bad? Is it something good? Has someone passed away? I was like,
It
what's,
could be
what's
anything,
happening?
right? I know.
Yeah, and I'm like, do not text me,
I have
call
told
me.
my mom the same. And now she just says, like, if she has to call me, she's like, call me. And then in the next text, it will be like, nothing urgent. Just want to talk. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, okay.
Thank God.
Like, when you live overseas, far away from your loved ones, like,
Yeah.
we really can't deal with, like, call me or please call me.
Yeah.
We need more context, you know,
Yeah.
so.
But I also feel like, I mean, obviously my family and friends are all right. But if it's like a workmate or a colleague that's texting you, I'm going to need, like, especially if it's your boss.
Yeah.
I'm going to need emojis because I don't know if you're mad at me
True.
or you're just being professional.
True, that is true. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
And
So
I don't know, like for me, I just feel like I need a few minutes to answer a call. Like if I get a call and I just can't pick it up. I'm just like, no, you know.
Sometimes I would just see it ringing and then I'm just waiting for it to stop.
No, I'm the same. It's so bad. I'm just like,
And I feel horrible.
I don't have
but I do that
like,
sometimes.
yeah, my tank is empty right now. I just don't have the energy to talk
Yeah.
right now.
It is. It takes a lot of energy,
does
hey.
take a
I was
lot.
like-
And then you don't know if
Yeah.
they're gonna finish the call soon or like if they're gonna keep going on. Like it's just we've just got very limited energy. I mean, plenty of energy to scroll our phones, but very
Yeah,
limited.
but not to like actually pay attention to what you're saying and then like, you know, give you feedback.
I know it's tough. It's
But I
tough.
also had a friend, if obviously he was in Sri Lanka at the time, but if we've got like really hot gossip, it will be like, but if you're also engaged with other things
Yeah.
at your normal life, it would just be voice notes, like so many voice notes because
yeah, we do that.
you can't send the actual emotion in a text
No, you
message.
can't. I'm
So it
so
will be like so many voice
thankful
notes.
for WhatsApp voice notes. Like,
Yeah,
it's
I
the
know,
best
right?
because you still have the control to listen to it and respond when you want to.
Yeah.
But your
Yeah,
other
true.
person can also communicate it in the moment. So I think it's like the best
Yeah.
invention for WhatsApp. I agree.
It's true.
Yeah.
Very true. Love it. Love
Yeah.
voice notes. And you know that when you get like a couple of voice notes, the tea is so
I
good.
know, right? It's
You know that.
it's like a podcast. You can just like keep listening.
I know.
It's great.
But I'm not like I don't do that though unless I have like something that's urgently I need to tell someone. But still not worth calling
Yeah.
them. It's just like it's not that urgent.
You're not
I just
dying,
wanna-
so I'm not gonna call you.
Yeah. Honestly, at this point, I won't even like I won't even call someone if I was dying. I would be like, I'm dying. Or like I'll text them. It was like, I might be dead. If you want to call me later and
BRB.
check on me. Yeah, I'm gonna die.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
but
we're basically all the same then. That's good to know.
yeah, exactly. But I would have expected, but I read somewhere that 50% or 51% of Gen Z people prefer like video calls or like or like, you know, if they were in a conference call or something to have their video on, which I thought was a
I
bit...
found that when you said it, I was really surprised because I was like, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
me too. But then it's 49% don't like it, which is more, I
I
guess,
fall
makes
into that
sense.
49. I don't want.
Yeah, I don't. But then I have noticed though, if you're in a meeting, if everyone has their video on, then you have the pressure to have
Yeah,
your
yeah,
video
yeah,
on as
yeah.
well. But I feel like people tend to like, because sometimes people tend to multitask.
Yeah.
And they're not actually paying attention.
Also me.
But in that way, I guess you get people's attention when you have the video on, and it feels nice sometimes when it's like, you know, it's like an important meeting and you need to. It feels nice and feels a
But
little
it's
bit
so
more
much pressure
legitimate,
to
I
like
think.
look a certain way, which like I just really don't want to do sometimes.
Yeah.
You know.
True, especially if you're working from home.
Yeah.
But also if you're on site, some people have like because some people that's joining like these meetings have like actual production roles.
Okay.
So they look like they're beaten to death.
Oh no.
No, because they would have like, obviously not on our side, but some people do have like a call for like, you know, like black like black stamps and stuff because, you know, because they've been
They're
exposed to the
actually doing
actual
work.
process or whatever. And they're like, all their uniforms are like so dirty. And I'm like, oh, I feel bad. If you want to, you know, to have your camera off, like do it. That's fine. And there's me like chilling in the desk.
With your hair.
Typing away.
Pretty hair.
Yeah. Having my green tea.
Listen, they chose that life, okay? That's not on you.
I know. But when they do it though, like when they actually, you see them work, it just feel like, oh, they're like such badasses.
Yeah.
But, yeah. But hopefully one day.
One day,
When
maybe.
I figure out how to use the tools, maybe one day.
You'll get there eventually.
Yeah. But yeah. Cool.
Yeah, so that was a very interesting topic, and
Yeah.
I feel like we sort of stuck to the topic a little.
We tried our
few.
best.
We tried our best. You
This
know,
is the
honestly,
best
I was gonna say
we can
this
get.
is the. I'm sorry, guys. Like this is the best you're gonna get. So
Yeah.
we really tried to control ourselves. So
Yeah.
I hope you really enjoyed it. We've decided that we're gonna end it here because otherwise we'll go on forever.
It's just, yeah.
But yeah, I hope it's been like a very productive and interesting conversation. And I would also like to say thank you so much for all your support over the last like 22 episodes.
yeah.
Like I feel like we've exponentially grown, at least on
Yes.
YouTube, like with our views and our listens and
Yeah.
stuff. Instagram's still a little bit slow, so if you haven't subscribed,
Yeah.
if you haven't liked and followed us, please do that. That'll really help
yeah.
us. And
But
thank
I think
you so
even
much.
the engagement on YouTube has been like quite nice.
Really nice, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you to that person who said my voice is very loud.
But we're just so passionate about it.
No,
Certain
honestly,
topics,
I
okay?
just laughed. You know, it's so funny. Okay, again, I'm going on a tangent, but my mom, like as soon as we uploaded that and that comment was made, my mom called me and she's like, I was just...
She called you?
She called me. Actually, no, I called her. And she was apparently in the middle of replying to that comment, like an angry
Oh, wow.
reply. She's such a mom.
Shalali's mom.
I know. And she's like, I was going to yell at him for saying your voice. I was like, don't yell at him. It's true. I was like, Mama, I get it from you. You know that, right?
Yeah. And then you know
I am
that
loud.
person said, oh, the Shani's voice is soothing. I'm like, I do understand where you're coming from, but I've also there have been a point in my life where I have started talking and I've yawned
myself to sleep.
because I put myself to sleep. So I like to think that it's soothing, but it's also very boring if you think about it like that.
No, but like, you
So
know,
I would take Shanali's loud voice every day, any day and every day over that.
but that's the thing, like, I wasn't even offended by it. Like, I just laughed. And
Yeah.
you're such a sweetheart. Desh sent me the sweetest voice note saying, you know, like, not to get upset by it. But I actually wasn't,
Yeah.
because I totally agree. I have a very loud voice, and which is like very normal, and like it helps in my career being a teacher.
No, but I think it's important because, you know, if both of us were talking the same way that I do, the audience would be asleep. We wouldn't be getting the views, okay? But we need
need a balance,
Shanali's loud
right?
voice to keep everyone active and, you know, actively listening to the
We'll
podcast.
just say that. We'll just say that. But I know sometimes it's very loud. So our producer and our editor has the job of reducing my volume. But it's honestly, it's because I get so excited about certain things and I just have to express my feeling. I'm a very expressive person. So that's why. But I mean, we still appreciate the comments and all the feedback. So
but
thank
deal
you
with
so
it,
much.
okay?
Just kidding, guys.
God.
But yeah, thank
But
you
I
so
love
much.
how today we went from talking about cats to like
I
different
know, it's
generations in a
great.
workplace. So
It's
a great episode.
Has no correlation whatsoever, but you know,
Yeah.
it's great.
unless you want to take cats in, unless there's like a trend of taking your cats to your work.
Which we fully stand by, which we
Yeah,
fully,
we'll fully support.
approve, right? Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah.
I a lot of workplaces need to make that like a trend, I think.
I agree.
Because a lot of us are not gonna have kids, we're gonna have pets.
Yeah, I mean,
You know?
we have a therapy dog at school. He's so cute. Yeah, his name's Louis.
What?
Yeah, a lot of schools actually do have it.
What breed is he?
I actually have no idea. It's like a little one with like really, I can't remember the breed, but he's so cute. But he's so like old. And to be honest, I feel like the owner. So basically, usually, if you are if you want a therapy dog, the school has to apply through the department, and it's like a big process. But I think our school, for some reason, because it's a smaller school, that didn't go through. So one of the teachers actually volunteered her dog to be the therapy dog, right? So she went through the whole process and the dog was brought in. But I think the dog is like, I don't know, I feel like if it was my animal, I would be so scared to send my animal to a special school because obviously kids, like they're autistic, they've got other needs. They're not very good at controlling themselves because they love the animal. So this poor dog actually had surgery a few months ago and then it came in and one of the kids sat on it and then it got hurt again. I know. So I'm like, I would never do that.
No, that's heartbreaking.
I know. So he actually hasn't been back for a while.
For a minute, I thought that your school and the staff was being scammed by this dog pretending to be like a therapy dog. It's like, I don't know if I'm legally allowed to be here, but I'll just be here.
No, I know it was going to be
Oh, but that's sad.
I know, it is kind of sad. So he hasn't been in for a while. But he'll be hopefully back soon. But yeah, I was just like, Ryan and I were like, if we had a dog, there's no way we're taking it to a school. We don't trust those kids around it.
I've seen that there's sometimes, obviously not in the times that I fly in, but in Adelaide Airport, there's like a therapy dog as well.
Oh, really? Oh.
I feel like because some people are quite anxious to fly.
About flying. Oh, that's so lovely.
Yeah.
I love
I
that.
know.
I've never seen that at an airport. That's so nice.
Yeah, but it's also like, because you can't, I guess maybe it's different to guide dogs and therapy dogs because you can still play with them and do stuff.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
with guide dogs, I feel like that's just, they look so sad all the time and that breaks my heart.
And
I'm like, I know
touch
you're a
them.
hardworking professional, but I just want to pet you.
Know. And
It's
you
just
can't even do
give
that.
you the love.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, it's sad.
Tough. Yeah.
But
anyway, we were supposed to end the episode.
The episode, but before we go on a tangent
about dogs, which we can go on
love you guys.
forever, by the way.
Yeah. But love you guys. Hope you enjoyed the episode and hope you enjoy the week ahead. And we will see you back in another
next
episode.
time. Yeah. Take care, everyone.
Bye.